You're listening to Beyond the Technique podcast with Katie Whitledge. It is my pleasure to welcome to the mic your host, Katie Whitledge.
Thank you for joining me, everybody. This is Katie Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. And today's topic, we are getting to know industry legend Howard Hafetz. I cannot wait for you to learn about this incredible person. This man has done so much to benefit the beauty industry. Now, before we bring Howard to the mic, I have to give a shout out to our sponsor, Meet Your Stylist, because without Meet Your Stylist, we could not do what we do here at the Beyond the Technique podcast. Most of you already know Meet Your Stylist is a psychologically innovative marketing tool. It's a survey that lives on your salon website that will match your guests with the stylists at your salon that are the best fit for them. This goes beyond just what they do. It's about who they are. And today I'm going to share a testimonial from Shelly Neff, the owner of Urban Betty Salon in Austin, Texas. She says, Meet Your Stylist gives clients a connection to our brand and our stylists. They actually follow through with making an appointment. They don't just move along to the next bio. It really drives them to follow through with making an appointment with the stylist they're matched with. Everyone is loving Meet Your Stylist. I would say at the minimum, we have 2 people take our Meet Your Stylist survey per hour. When we open our email, it is just full of Meet Your Stylist. We have all these new people that have taken the survey. Recently, Shelly's GM has been on our podcast. You remember Kim Light? She shared with us that in 8 months, their Meet Your Stylist tool has brought in over 3,200 survey submissions, and they have booked just over 2,000 new clients at their salon. So much so, they're opening their second location. What kind of impact could Meet Your Stylist make for your salon? Go to our show notes and click on meetyourstylist.com. Alrighty, everybody. Well, Howard Hafetz, he is the man. Just wait until you hear about his industry journey, where he's been and where he's still headed. There's no stopping him. I'm going to share with you, Howard is the CEO of Art of Business and well known throughout the beauty world. He's the former president of the PBA and the founder of Salon Today magazine. We all know Salon Today magazine. Howard founded it. He has also published numerous articles and books, including The New Psychosmetologist. Howard is an innovator and has inspired several new concepts in beauty. In 1978, he was named Modern Magazine Man of the Year, and in 1994 was inducted into the Beauty Hall of Fame. Some of you listening may not have even realized there is such a thing. He's doing so much to make new, innovative things happen for us that I cannot wait for him to join us. So without further ado, help me welcome to the mic, Howard Hafetz.
Hey, Katie.
Well, hey, Howard, thanks so much for joining us today. I know that you, with your company, Art of Business, you have events almost every single week and weekend. So to take time to share with everyone across the country, across the globe about your passion for the beauty industry and everything you've been up to, that you're continuing to do, it just means so much to us. So thank you for being here.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Well, Howard, I'd love to just learn about you. Why did you decide to pursue a career in the beauty industry?
I guess I really didn't have much choice. I was literally born into the beauty business. My dad was a beauty supply salesperson many, many years ago. I actually remember traveling with him on the road when I was 3-4 years old, meeting hairdressers. So I literally worked my way up through the business, and I started out very young. Today, I'm usually the oldest person in the room. So I have this wonderful claim to fame that I'm not ashamed to share. And my claim is I know more hairdressers than anybody else in the whole world. How's that?
Yeah, it's incredible. So at 4 years old, you're kind of introduced. Tell us just about your story. How did this journey play out for you?
It was something that was predestined, I believe. I worked as a kid in the beauty business, went off to college, came out of school, and joined the family business. Back in the late 60s, it was a really Wild West kind of time for the beauty world. And I just dove in, and I found my niche really in education. We were a company, and still are, a company that makes its money selling shampoo and hair color. But the truth is, we earn our stripes helping salon professionals get to a better place in their business life. So I was able to jump in on the educational platforms, and I saw that was what was really needed, and it's been my pleasure.
Well, you've said a couple things that kind of sparked my interest. Did you go to college for cosmetology or did you take a different route at first?
I actually went to beauty school as a kid. I was 16 years old, but I flunked out on the third morning. I quit. Sorry to say. I went to school, got a degree in business and in marketing at Rider University in New Jersey, but then came back to Reading, Pennsylvania, where we're home based, and joined the family business. So my education in beauty is just learned along the way from great, great hairdressers I got to meet and know.
When you came back to your home-based business, about what year was this, Howard?
The end of the 60s, around 1969 or so.
And you say it's the Wild Wild West back then. Did they have kind of regulations? Did you have to officially get a license in the industry? How did that work?
No, the industry was always very regulated and licensure was strict, but it was a time where hairdressers were just learning about what was happening around the world, if you will. We were just breaking out of that old wash and set world of the 1950s and early 60s. We did a show, I remember in 1967, did a show with Vidal Sassoon, one of his first ever shows in America. And Vidal just changed everything and lit up the whole beauty industry. And so that was the beginning of a whole new learning process where hairdressers started to see a better world and haircutting became so important. So things started changing in the late 60s and then really throughout the 70s.
Now, I know that your wife, was she in the beauty industry as well, or how did that partnership come about?
Well, she actually joined our company first as a salesperson. As a matter of fact, Victoria was the first ever woman salesperson in our company's history. Way, way back then, believe it or not, some of the listeners are going to have a tough time believing me. So this is going to be a trust thing, everybody. Way, way back, 35, 40 years ago, women were not, quote, trusted in the job of sales. Women were, for the most part, they were clerks or school teachers, nurses, and stay-at-home moms. But today, women have found their way into all places of business and take a backseat to nobody. And some of the best salespeople in any industry are, in fact, women, whether it's real estate, automobiles, or beauty products. And so today, our sales force is actually mostly women because our business is so dominated by women and women's thinking. So she was a leader in that respect. So she worked here at the supply house with us, but then my real epiphany happened that led us to Salon Today really about 20 years earlier. We saw a need for education and it wasn't happening anywhere in a serious way. So in the end of the 70s, I decided that we would build an educational center, an actual advanced academy for learning. And we built it right here in Reading, Pennsylvania, and we called it the Gallery. And the Gallery became the absolute mecca for hairdressing education in America. It was a one-of-a-kind place. And what happened was I was bringing a lot of Europeans here, mostly Brits. Reading what was going on in beauty, it became obvious that the epicenter of fashion was moving from Paris way, way back in the late 70s over to London. And all of a sudden, London became the hip place for hairdressing. And I started to bring over a lot of British hairdressers to the Gallery for their first time ever in America. Maybe people that some of the listeners will remember, Graham Webb, Irvin and Rita Rusk, Tony and Guy were here at the Gallery. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, they were 17 and 21 years old and on the stage in the Gallery. That's pretty darn young to be teaching hairdressing. But also Paul Mitchell, Zenon, Trevor Sorby. What happened really is what the Beatles created in music in the early 60s. These British hairdressers created a similar feeling for hairdressing in the late 70s. And it was that whole British wave that excited the American hairdressing scene. And so their first trip to America, believe it or not, was Reading, Pennsylvania.
That's incredible.
They were a little confused. They all thought they were coming to New York, and they would land in New York, and then we'd have a driver pick them up and drive them through the cornfields to Pennsylvania, and here they were in a little town they never heard of. But we were getting hairdressers to come here from all over the Eastern Seaboard because people wanted to study with these great names like Trevor Sorby and Paul Mitchell and things like that. So we really rocked that hard. I mean, that was the educational effort that our company put in back then. And we were busy every single weekend doing all kinds of programs from cutting to styling to color to everything. But then I believe what I was observing and feeling was as hard as we were working and as much as we were creating excitement and hairdressers were getting turned on, we weren't really moving the needle when it came to getting salons to be more successful. All we were doing was giving them a new way to curl, a new way to cut, and there was more to it. And so it became obvious what was missing. And what was missing was the people side, and what was missing was the business side.
Well, is this how Salon Today came about? And did you create this originally as a magazine platform, as a solo magazine, or was it a bigger brand? I'd love to hear about that.
It's an incredible story when I think back. We created the magazine in 1983, I believe, so many, many years ago. At the time, there were only two magazines really in the beauty industry in America. One was American Salon, the other was Modern. And they were great magazines, but they were totally focused on technical and artistic. That's what they looked like. What we realized was the missing thing was business. There was nowhere to go for a salon owner to be able to get and source good business information and ideas. And we by then had started a separate education company called People Media, and we had a lot of great speakers who were working for us, psychologists, accountants, business specialists, and we were sending them all over the world, frankly, and they were turning audiences on like crazy. And we started to realize that if we could take and put that information into print form, that we could reach more people. And so that was the birth of Salon Today magazine, was to become a business-only magazine for salon owners. And I got it started. I got the first magazine done. I remember I knew nothing about the magazine business, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. The late, great John Delaria was on the first cover. I remember that issue. We went to New York, got a great model, and he wrapped her head up in $100 bills. So she's sitting there on the cover with about, I think it was almost $3,000 worth of bills in her head. And the cover story was, "There's money in hair." And it was the beginning of what became a wonderful era. We ran the magazine for the next, maybe 10 years or so. And Vicki did a great job. I give her credit. She was the publisher and really blew the magazine up. And we were read all over North America. We were also very strong in a couple of the other countries as well. So Salon Today was purchased by Modern 24 years ago. And I'm so happy that they stayed true on purpose as a business-only magazine. And today, Salon Today is flourishing, and I'm excited that they've done such a great job with our baby, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. And from this point in your career to today, what do you think has been the biggest change in our industry that you've noticed throughout all of these years?
Wow, that's quite a question, Katie. I could give you 20 examples, but if I can go back a little bit, because I know we have listeners of all ages, I would say that the first thing that was really important, I believe, is that we made a transition in understanding why people go to beauty salons in the first place. About 20 years ago or so, we started to realize that people thought they were going to beauty salons for a haircut or for hair color. And that was pretty much what we thought was happening. But when we started to peel that back, we realized they were going for something much more. They were going for the great feeling they got when they knew their hair was cut just right, for that great feeling they got when their hair color was spot on. So we started to realize that the beauty professional was playing a role much greater than just twisting, turning, and making hair stand up. We're playing a very important role in the lives of our clients. And I think that today, a hairdresser can be very proud of the role she plays, who she is, what she does, and how important she is to her clients. So that was one of the big changes. We actually were on the front end of that whole thing by studying what we call today psychosmetology. Some of your listeners might have heard that term. We actually created that right here in my office, along with a friend of mine who was a psychologist named Dr. Lou. And I believe you're going to be getting Dr. Lou to come on your show sometime soon. Dr. Lou, brilliant psychologist who was interested in learning the beauty business. And I said to him, hey, I'll help you. I put him together with a great hairdresser and an educator named Donald Scolari. And the two of them collaborated on putting a book together. And the book is called On Becoming a Psychosmetologist. And really, it's a blending of two different art forms or two different studies, the science of cosmetology and psychology. And so we created a new term called psychosmetology. And that refers to the fact that we're really all about people, not just hair. So that was one of the real defining moments that started to change what beauty was all about. And I think the role of a hairdresser has notched up many, many different levels in the eyes and the hearts of the public. You can be very proud to have a daughter that's a hairdresser, a wife that's a hairdresser, because we're playing important roles in people's lives.
I agree 100%. Hence the name Beyond the Technique, everybody. This is what it's all about. It goes beyond your technical time behind the chair. So, Howard, I can't imagine that. It sounds to me it's like all of these things you went for, all the dreams and the vision that you had, you never saw reasons why it can't work. You had to figure out how to make it work. And there had to have been obstacles that you faced. What has been like the biggest obstacle or hurdle you've had to overcome in all of this?
You know, sometimes when you're out front leading something new, you get a lot of arrows sometimes in your back. I've always prided myself on not trying to fix things that were, but really trying to look at things that were not and wondered why. That was what led to the magazine, to Salon Today, was wondering, you know, why is this robust business of beauty have two magazines that both seem so similar? It was all about art and fashion and technique. Why not business? And I went for it. I see other things that are not happening, and I wonder why not. I'm really worried about the future of hairdressing because of this thing called the new reality. That's a big subject, but it concerns me because the new reality is affecting salon professionals. I can talk about that if you feel like it.
Well, I feel everybody here's listening and they're going to say, well, what is it? Now I got to know. You've opened up a can. We got to know, what is the new reality?
In my mind, the new reality is in reference to what's happening in this country, around the world, in relationship to big data, to artificial intelligence, to online business. What's happening is it certainly is affecting retail and stores, and everybody understands about all the closures in the shopping center openings, etc. But it's starting to affect our business as well. And I want to make sure that hairdressers, salon owners especially, understand how things are changing. And this new reality is meaning that the hairdressers are competing for that role that they usually have as being the number one expert in the minds of their clients. And the reason is because there's so much information out there online about hair, about makeup, about technique, that I'm worried that if the hairdresser doesn't work harder and smarter, she's going to lose that position she has. So basically, what's really happening is if we're not careful, our reputation, our business, our purpose will get hijacked by big data and by these other companies. However, it doesn't have to be that way. And the reason is we have something in the salon that all these big companies want. And what we have is what they don't have. We have touch and we have respect. And we have that love that exists between a client and her hairdresser. And that is the relationship that is so precious. What we need to do as professionals is learn how to put that to work better. We have to learn how to make that work to our favor. If we don't, we're going to let our clients be lost to things that are going to happen that I don't even want to talk about because it could get ugly. So what we've got to do is we've got to take and use all the heart, all the personality, all the touch, all the good communication techniques we can when clients are in the salon. If we continue to do what we're doing, we're going to not move ahead as an industry. I'm sure many of you will remember this quote. It goes something like this: if you do what you always did, you will get what you always got. Okay? Well, here's the new reality quote. I changed that a little bit because it goes something like this: if you do what you always did, you will get meaningful less than what you always got. And the reason for the meaningful less is that the competition is so keen. there are so many places where people are getting bombarded about hair color, about things relative to their beauty, that we're in a very, very highly competitive world. So we've got to work harder at the salon level, which means we've got to communicate better, use our professionalism, have better consultations, and give greater presence to conversations with our clients.
I'm going to ask you a contentious question, Howard. Earlier, you mentioned John Valeri being on the cover of your Salon Today magazine when it first released, and the $100 bills anywhere. I love the title, There's Money in Hair. My question is, do you still believe that?
Absolutely. I believe that the beauty business offers heart, soul. The fact that we offer this human touch is so important to our clients that as people become less and less personalized by business, when everything becomes online, when everything is through analytics, okay, there's going to be an awareness of the importance of the personality and the touch. And so we are in the number one high touch industry. And so I believe that people will come back to us. But I also want to say that a quality hairdresser has to know how to utilize her professionalism to the fullest. She has to be a great listener. She has to know how to exert herself. And people want to be told what they can do and how they should look better. So I think that the future of beauty looks very, very good. I just think it's not going to be based on just making hair stand up on the end or curls or whatever. It's the relationship between a good hairdresser and a client that is so very precious.
Well, that could be our next talk, Howard. It could be the future of beauty, and we could go into kind of our vision of where it could head. And so anyway, that would be so much, but I love that. I love talking about future. To bring us back though to all that you've done, what has been really to you your greatest accomplishment in all of this?
I think my greatest feeling is trying to help people to get to a place they might not otherwise have gotten to on their own. That's what education is. It's giving people new ideas and presenting new opportunities. So when we can help people, it's very gratifying. There's nothing exciting. People ask me, well, what do I do for a living? Well, we're basically a beauty distributorship. We make our money selling shampoo and hair color. But really, what we do is help salon professionals grow. We help them with their business life, and that's tremendously gratifying. So we continue to look for the future, try to guide our people properly. And I'm a lucky guy. My other great accomplishment, I think, is I'm fortunate enough to have 4 kids in business with us. It's nice that our company's in the 3rd generation now. Family, to me, is everything. And we don't limit our family to just our immediate relatives. We think of our customers as part of our family, and that makes it fun.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm curious because you brought up the gallery earlier. This is the very first of its kind an educational center for advanced learning. Is the gallery still open, or is that now Art of Business, or are there both?
They are both. The gallery just celebrated its 40th birthday, and we did a total makeover. The gallery is so cool. I invite all of your listeners to come to Reading, Pennsylvania. We have a very full schedule with great hairdressers. When we created it, there was no model for it. I just created it in my mind. I was a young man at the time. I had to convince my father to release some company monies to build it. But the gallery is capable of seating almost 300 people, theater style. But more importantly, we have 59 working stations in one room. So we've got a great physical spot. And there's just a great heritage in the gallery. It's a great place for learning.
And is this a place, Howard, that people who want to go to beauty school go to, or is this primarily focused on licensed cosmetologists to come and advance where they're at?
Really, the gallery is for licensed professionals, and it's an advanced academy. We have certain kinds of programming, though, to attract newer people. We do something called grad school as well, and we do some basic courses for recent graduates from beauty school who are not yet ready for salon work. So these are these young people that get hired into a salon, and usually they're assistants. Often the owners will send them to the gallery for almost like a finishing school, if you will, to get them sort of salon ready. And we give them a combination of training in technical, but we also do a lot of human skill development. I teach a few courses, so does Joshua. Because what people need most when they first enter the business, they need to learn how to communicate effectively with their clients. They have to learn the skills of professionalism. And we teach these young people how to look, act, think, and talk like a professional when they're scared to death. But that's how they bridge that gap. We tell them the world doesn't need another good hairdresser. There's a lot of good hairdressers out there. What the world craves are more great hairdressers. And what we're trying to do is get people from good to great early on. And we don't want to see a young stylist have to plod along for 25 years until they can get to the point where they become a great hairdresser. We think it can happen quicker if they work smarter.
You're so innovative. You've had all of these visions of what could be. You're an inspiration to so many and just to everybody listening. I'm curious who has been or who was or is your biggest inspiration and why?
I've had so many mentors. I'm the luckiest guy in the world in the sense that, first and foremost, my dad, Big Joe, we called him, was wonderful and a great daring guy who let me take a chance on doing crazy things like building a gallery or starting a magazine, if you will. I was fortunate that I grew up with some of the real founding fathers of strength in the beauty distribution business. These were companies that grew up in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and I was mentored by some of these wonderful people. And I had a nice ride being involved with the young executives in the beauty industry and then became president of our association. So I was touched by the greatest minds in beauty. And it was fun to learn. And they let me do some crazy stuff for the beauty industry. So it was fun.
Awesome. Well, what motivates you now each and every day?
I love change. We're in a business that constantly evolves. Beauty is all about fashion, all about trend, what's happening. So change is the basis of who we are. I just like the idea that our business is driven by young thinking people. And we don't want to get by on what was today or what was yesterday. We've got to be pushing the limit. We've got to be out there making innovation part of who we are and what we're doing. So I work with a lot of young people, and I'm trying to stay young with them.
You are young. To me, I think it's so inspiring that you are always looking at what's next, what's the new big thing, or how can we take something we've done and even make it better? What do the next 2 to 5 years look like for you?
I think I want to stay very focused on this new reality, I title it, because it is the biggest thing that's affecting our business. And I'm very concerned that without some direction and help, a lot of salon professionals are going to get gobbled up. And I'm worried about what I read about people trying to get clients to do more hair color at home, about bypassing salons, about teaching people beauty online. And I think it's going to need someone, hopefully I can be one of the champions, that get everybody excited enough to know how to compete in this new world. So we're going to continue to work with salon professionals, salon owners, and then we're also going to work directly with stylists. We do programs, like Camp, for instance. Camp is a program we started 23 years ago, I believe. We'll be doing our 23rd camp in the Poconos in September. This is a program that has won the best beauty award in all the beauty industry because it's a program for hairstylists, but it's not technical. It's all about the human side, the people side of hairdressing. So we take about 400 hairdressers into the mountains, and it's an outside event, but we teach them how to develop their personal skills, how to develop their communicative skills, how to talk and relate better to their clients. And so doing programs like that, are inspiring because that's what's going to make the difference, not just learning a new haircut. And if we can get professionals to work more with their head and their hearts and not just their hands, then they're going to be able to grow and prosper in this new reality. So I think it's interesting times. I'm getting up earlier in the morning every day because there's a lot of work that needs to get done.
Okay, so camp sounds so amazing. I've never heard of a retreat for salon owners and their stylists to go away to. In our industry, I've never heard of a retreat like camp. When is this happening? In the Pocono Mountains, everybody. What a cool experience. When is your next camp event?
Our next camp event's coming up September 8, 9, and 10. It's just a hoot because You're not living in a sleeping bag. There's actually a hotel there. But what's so wonderful is it's very casual. Everyone's wearing shorts and jeans and boots. And we built a huge outside tent, big enough for 400 people. And we have lunch by the lakeside and we have dinner outside. And it's just a wonderful time to get together in little parties and big parties. But most of all, is to celebrate who we are and to learn how to be a better professional without talking about the technical skills. It's about the human skill development.
Just hold tight, everybody. We have an offer for you to go to camp. So you got to wait till the end to find out what it is. But Howard, I think that this really is one of the reasons that Art of Business is different than other distribution companies. The kind of education, the kind of opportunities and events, the focus going beyond the technical side of things. What else really makes Art of Business, okay, for everybody listening, remember, this is a distribution company. There's a lot of big names out there we're all used to buying products from. But what makes Art of Business unique from all of those bigger companies?
I think our distinction is that we're very family oriented and we very much care about developing our customers to become their fullest in their own interest. Some of the big companies are just about churning numbers. They're owned by large corporations who are bought out by bigger corporations. And there's a lot of people out there who just want to shove product around and really are not committed to the integrity of who the wholesale beauty business is. And so I would actually caution all of the listeners out there to find out about who you're doing business with and find out where they stand and who they are. We just feel that our customers are more about our family. We don't feel like we sell to them. We feel like we join them and they join us and that we work together. So it's weird to say this on air to somebody, but when I get laid away and I'm going into the ground, I hope nobody jumps up at my funeral and says, "Here lies Howard Hafetz. He sold one hell of a lot of shampoo." That would not be the kind of tribute that I would want. If somebody did stand up and say, "Here lies Howard Hafetz. He helped an awful lot of people get someplace that they might not otherwise have gotten to," that would make me very, very proud. So I think there's more to it than just selling shampoo and hair color, just like there's a lot more going on in a salon than just cutting hair off. We're changing people's lives, and that's what makes me feel good. That's what makes our company, Art of Business, stand out. And I think our customers realize that if they like what we're doing, they're going to want to buy their shampoo and hairspray and hair color from us because that's the currency that we use. But we've got to make a difference. And I think the people in our company know that.
Love it. Well, Howard, what advice do you wish someone would have given you when you first started out? Now, I guess we're going to have to say when maybe you first got back into the industry after college because you started out at 4 years old. But really, essentially, when you first got into and went all into the beauty industry, what advice you wish someone would have given you?
So I'm going to tell you something that most people will not say on the air. The first thing I want to tell hairdressers is to learn how to work sitting down. Now, that might sound crazy to everybody, but I would like everyone to start to think about that. You'll prolong your career if you can learn how to use a hair cutting stool and sit while you're working. Not all the time, but maybe 30, 40, 50% of the time. It'll extend your career. And there's no reason why hairdressers have to break down when they're 55, 65 years old. It's physically a demanding job to stand all day long with your hands up in the air like that. So just as dentists have learned to sit down while they're working, so can hairdressers. So it just happens to be a little campaign I'm on, and I want to share that with everybody. So even though you're only a 26-year-old or 36-year-old, you're feeling strong, I guarantee you in 20 years from now, your body's going to feel awfully tired. So learn how to do that. My other suggestion to anyone that's listening in is just charge outlandish prices for your service. Start to charge more money, but give your clients more for their money. So you'll find out that if you raise your prices, you're going to probably have a few less clients, which is just fine. That means you'll give more attention to the clients you do have. You'll work hard, but not as hard as just banging out client after client. So those are my recommendations to the new young stylists that might be listening in. It's a wonderful, wonderful business with a tremendous future. And I'm sure that a lot of your family members, when you told them you wanted to be a hairdresser, thought you were crazy, thought you were going to fail. Well, I want you to know you're in one of the greatest businesses ever, ever. You're making a huge difference in people's lives. And I applaud you for being a hairdresser.
Well, thank you so much, Howard. You are incredible. And I told everybody if they waited till the end, we would share with them the opportunity to meet Howard, to be away at this amazing camp retreat in the Pocono Mountains. This opportunity is unlike any other for you and for your stylists on your team. This is coming up September 8th, 9th, and 10th. We have a special opportunity. If you book your camp retreat before July 15th, for the entire weekend, you can go for $329. That's for the entire 3-day experience, everybody. $329. That's your offer. You have to call to get this offer. You need to call Art of Business and reserve your camp retreat. The phone number is 1-855-721-5250. And do not worry, I will share this in the show notes. But you have to get on board with this opportunity because I'll tell you what, this retreat really is in a league of its own. And so are you, Howard. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I will definitely be planning behind the scenes to bring him back again, everybody, because he is a phenomenal person that is just loves to share ideas and just share education with all of us. So thank you again, Howard, for being here.
Well, thank you, Katie. And I'm excited that you'll be at camp this year.
Yay!
It makes camp even better than ever. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited to be there, everybody. I'll be one of their guest speakers speaking on sales. It just so happens to be the topic that I will be there for. So I'm excited too. This is going to be amazing. So come meet both of us and everybody at Art of Business. It's going to be a ton of fun. And yes, we'll get Howard back again for another talk. Until then, thank you all for joining us. Remember, Beyond the Technique launches a podcast episode every single Monday and Thursday. So until we meet again, have an awesome day and stay strong.